My family tried to isolate me. I dismantled everything they depended on. Can you imagine getting a voicemail from your own mother, cold and businesslike, telling you, "You are out. Do not come back." No explanation. Just a verdict. What would you do? Because in that moment, my family tried to cut me out of everything I'd built, but they had no idea the war they'd just declared. My name's Emily, and at 32, I live for forecasting worst-case scenarios in the fintech world. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for that 12-second voicemail. It landed on a Wednesday, tucked between a risk report and a cold coffee. I pressed play and heard my mom's voice, flat, almost like she was canceling a subscription, not her own daughter. "You are out. Do not come back. We are going on without you." Just like that. No emotion, no explanation, just a verdict. My heart hammered in my ears. But then, that part of my brain that spends all day locking up other people's money? It clicked. I didn't call back. I didn't argue. I typed okay, a single chilling text. Then I went to work. First, I locked down the family LLC, the one I'd built from the ground up, with our rental properties and the new triplex we were about to close on. Every privilege with my name on it, gone. No more agreements using my credit. No transfers without my consent. Then, I called the real estate agent and pulled the plug on that triplex deal they were banking on. Deal. Dead. Finally, I froze the retirement accounts I'd set up for them, making sure not a single dollar could be touched or modified without my knowledge. By the time my coffee was cold, so was whatever easy path they thought they had through me. I actually thought that was the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. The next morning, my phone was practically vibrating off the nightstand. 52 missed calls. 52. Mom, Dad, random numbers, even one from a law firm I recognized. The most recent? A tense voicemail from their lawyer, Benjamin Davis. His voice was tight, the kind of tight a lawyer gets when their clients have conveniently forgotten some crucial details. He said, "Emily, we need to chat. This is serious." I just smiled. The problem wasn't that I was gone. The problem was what I carried with me. My phone kept lighting up with texts from Mom. "Emily, this is just a misunderstanding. Call me." And Dad, "Kiddo, whatever happened, we can fix it." Then Mom again. "We didn't mean it that way. We were upset. Come home." Funny, I thought, because "you are out. Do not come back" sounded pretty damn clear to me. I scrolled through the messages, almost expecting my younger sister Sophie's name to pop up. Nothing. Not a single text. For someone who loved the spotlight and blew up our family group chat over anything, she was eerily quiet. While my coffee brewed, I pulled up my building's security app. There it was, footage from earlier that morning. My dad, standing at the glass entrance, hands deep in his pockets, staring up at my second-floor window. He checked his phone, hesitated like he was going to buzz, then just turned around and walked away. No call, no knock, just retreat. My chest clenched, just for a second, before I squashed it down. When someone shows you how easily they can cut you off, don't rush to comfort them when that knife swings back their way. I sent a few brief, carefully worded texts back to Mom. "I am safe. I need time." To Dad, I heard the voicemail. "I'm not ready to speak with the lawyer." To the lawyer, "I've got your message. I'll react in writing." That was all I owed anyone. My coworker Jenna slid her chair over. "You've been staring at that screen like you want to blow it up," she said. "Everything okay?" I almost said yes out of habit, but stopped myself. Not really. My parents decided I won't be involved in the family business anymore. Her eyebrows shot up. "Are they aware you are the family business?" I just shrugged. Voicemail. I shut things down. Now there are lawyers involved. Jenna let out a slow whistle. "Look," she said, "don't make moves out of guilt. The second money's involved, everyone starts performing. Make sure every decision you make is something you'd be comfortable explaining to a judge someday." She was right. My job was risk management. I built systems to prevent people from moving money behind each other's backs. And now I realized I'd inadvertently built the perfect system to protect myself from my own family. Later, a new message popped up from an unknown number. "Heard you got out of the triplex because you were overwhelmed. You okay?" It was a cousin. Overwhelmed. That wasn't my word. It sounded exactly like something Sophie would say, blinking back fake tears. Suddenly, all the pieces clicked into place. Sophie losing her marketing job. Her starting to use phrases like streamline the LLC and free up equity at Sunday dinners, as if she'd ever cared about spreadsheets. She was the only one silent now, like a puppeteer waiting in the wings. I felt it then, the first clean, sharp edge of anger. If Sophie was behind this, if she thought she could push me out of what I'd built and take my place while my parents watched, she'd picked the wrong damn sister to fight over money. A couple days later, trying to pretend life was normal, I went to my usual coffee shop. Barely had my coffee when I heard, "Emily." "Hey." It was Daniel Reed, an old friend of my dad's. He dropped his voice conspiratorially. "Heard about the triplex? Tough stuff." I grimaced. "What about it?" He said, "Just what your mom and Sophie were saying in the family chat. That work pressure got to you? That you were overwhelmed and it wasn't a good time mentally." Mentally, he said, like he was afraid to say breakdown. My jaw tightened. Overwhelmed. There it was again. I faked a grin so tight it might shatter. "Yeah, well, you know how rumors travel." I stepped out of that shop before my face betrayed me. Sitting in my car, I scrolled through my texts. Not a word from Sophie directly, but she felt safe telling my extended family that I was too unstable to handle a house sale I'd nearly arranged. That wasn't rumor. That was groundwork. I opened my contacts and selected a name I hadn't used in months. Matthew Adams, the financial advisor who helped me set up our family LLC years ago. He picked up on the second ring. "This is a surprise, Emily," he chuckled. "Still keeping everyone out of trouble?" "Working on it," I said. Question: Has anyone tried to change ownership percentages in Mitchell Holdings LLC recently? There was a pause. You could almost hear him sitting up straighter. "I've seen some draft documents float by," he admitted hesitantly. "Your mom mentioned a new advisor, asked some hypotheticals, but I saw references to adding another family member as a managing member, and your signature line was blank. It looked messy, so I told her nothing could move without you." My grip on the steering wheel tightened. "Sophie." "Of course. Did any of it go through?" I asked. "No," he said. "The paperwork was incomplete and frankly questionable." "But Emily, if someone is trying to backdoor their way into control of your LLC, you need to get ahead of it." I thanked him, hung up, and just stared at the dashboard. That voicemail, Daniel's overwhelmed. My mother suddenly wanting a new advisor, right after Sophie quit her job. This wasn't random. This was a strategy. A poor legal strategy, sure, but a heavy dose of emotional manipulation on top. As I sat there, a new message from Sophie popped up. "Emily, what are you doing? Pulling out of the house deal, worrying everyone, shutting down accounts. This is a mess, and you're making it worse." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I almost unleashed everything boiling inside me. Instead, I deleted the draft. I opened my inbox. First, I emailed the real estate agent. "Per our chat, consider this written confirmation I've withdrawn from the Mitchell Triplex acquisition as a borrower and principal qualification. Any additional representations that I am involved in this transaction are false and illegal." Then, I requested an official cancellation notice be sent to my parents, copying their lawyer. Then, a new message. This one addressed to Sophie, but worded like a risk escalation at work. "Sophie, this email serves as formal notice that any effort to change ownership, signature authority, or financial structure of Mitchell Holdings LLC, any affiliated properties or retirement funds without my written authorization is illegal and may constitute fraud. Do not sign my name. Do not assume my approval. Any such action shall be documented and reported to legal counsel." No screaming. No name calling. Just facts and consequences. I sent it, then placed my phone face down. By the time I got home, I had 7 more missed calls from Mom, 3 from Dad, and 0 from Sophie. I opened my laptop and created a new folder. Family risk file. Screenshots of messages, the lawyer's voicemail, Matthew's notes, that email I just sent. Every gesture, every lie, every attempt to portray me as unstable, it all went in there. Because if Sophie wanted to create a narrative where I was the problem, the weak link to be torn out so she could slide in, I was going to create a better one. One supported by timestamps and documentation. And honestly, watching those files pile up, I couldn't help but wonder. How many families end up like this because one person values the truth less than the victim character they've been playing their whole lives? For days later, an unknown number flashed on my screen. I almost let it go to voicemail, then saw the firm's name. "This is Emily." "Hi Emily, this is Jason Liu, your parents' new financial advisor." He needed to go over discrepancies in the Mitchell retirement structure. That word made me sit up straight. He'd found draft paperwork adding Sophie as co-trustee, or managing member, with my name included as an approver, but no actual signature from me. To be clear, Jason, I told him, I have not approved anything. I haven't signed a thing since the day I set it up. Jason sighed. I assumed your family thinks you walked away, and these adjustments are what you desire. The term overwhelmed came up, and I wanted your confirmation for compliance. Treat every request as unapproved until you see my live signature, I advised. If someone claims otherwise, ask for written proof. You won't get any. Right after we hung up, my cousin Megan called. Are you okay? She exclaimed. Because the way Sophie's been talking, it sounds like you're falling apart. I asked what Sophie was saying. That you pulled out of the triplex because of anxiety. That you hoard control of the LLC. That you threatened to cut mom and dad off financially. Megan added, now she's posting about abuse of power and families. None of that is true, I said. Megan dropped her voice. I didn't think so. It doesn't match the Emily who paid for their roof. Just wanted you to know what was being said. Thanks, I said. Screenshot if you feel like it. Otherwise, don't feed her audience. We hung up. A second later, an email thread landed in my inbox. Mitchell Triplex purchase update. From our agent, Susan, with my parents, Sophie Matthew, and their lawyer copied. Sophie's message, quoted beneath Susan's, read, Susan, as we mentioned, Emily has withdrawn due to personal mental health difficulties. We need to move forward without her. Please respect her limitations. Sophie had written that, sounding so compassionate it made my skin crawl. Susan's response was succinct. Thank you, Sophie. For liability, I'll need written confirmation directly from Emily, and will pause the file for now. I started typing before the rage could fully subside. Hi, Susan, I wrote. Attached are my written withdrawal from 2 days ago and the pre-approval documents. I'm not leaving due to mental health issues. I'm withdrawing because I no longer want my name, credit, or income utilized in the present family situation. Any other depiction of my choice is incorrect. Thank you for pausing the file, Emily. I copied Benjamin and Matthew, attaching every document proving I'd been the driver from the start. Susan shot back swiftly. Understood. I will ignore Sophie's previous reply and solely follow your directions. Matthew sent a simple, received. We should discuss future actions. Oh, we would. That night, I found an envelope taped to my apartment door, in my mother's handwriting. Inside, on lined paper, she'd written, We love you. We were emotional. Please call us so we can fix this before it goes too far. Love, Mom. My chest wrenched. Just for a second, I pictured her at the kitchen table, writing that, while Sophie paced and likely cried theatrically. My phone vibrated. Megan had emailed a screenshot of Sophie's latest post. Sometimes the most dangerous member in a family is the one who has complete control over the money and punishes you for disobeying. It said, healing means walking away from people who weaponize their power, even if they share your last name. The comments were full of hearts, and you go, girl. I placed my mother's note next to my laptop and opened the family risk file. Emails, voicemails, advisor notes, screenshots, all neatly organized. Up until now, I'd just been closing doors. But as that data piled up, I knew protection wasn't enough. If Sophie wanted to create a narrative where I was the villain, I was going to respond with something she couldn't spin. A plain, documented story that left her standing alone in the light. The next morning, at work, a new text from Mom. No argument, just 10 minutes. Please. I stared at it. 10 minutes wouldn't fix a voicemail telling me not to come back, but it sounded more like her than anything she'd sent in weeks. Call me, I wrote. She responded quickly. I heard the faint speaker echo. Your dad is also here, she said, her voice thin. Hey, kiddo, Dad chimed in. You wanted 10 minutes, I said. Mom exhaled. We messed up, Emily. Saying you're out, don't come back. That was extreme. We shouldn't have said it like that. You didn't, I cut in. You said exactly that. She paused, then tried again. Your sister told us things. She said you were planning to cut us out of the LLC, talking to lawyers about removing us from retirement accounts, saying you were tired of carrying us and wanted full control. She said you told her after dinner in the car. None of that ever occurred, I said. Did you hear those words from me directly? Well, no, Mom admitted. Sophie said you talked in the car on the way home. I took my own car that night, I stated. I left alone. There was no car ride. Dad cursed softly. Why would she make that up? Mom muttered, but it sounded like she already knew. Maybe because she wanted what I have, I said. If I am unstable and power-hungry, sliding herself into documents looks like protecting you, not using you. Dad exhaled deeply. This is past family drama now. Matthew called. Jason called. Susan paused the house. I know, I said. That's why I'm done with whispers. We're going to sit down, all four of us, in the same room. No speakerphone, no vague posts. I'll bring documents. You bring everything Sophie told you. Then we see what survives. Do we have to involve lawyers? Mom inquired. They're already involved, I explained. The question is whether they see Sophie's story first, or the evidence. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock at the house. If Sophie won't come, that's an answer too. The next evening, I walked into my folks' living room, a hefty folder tucked under my arm. Same beige couch, same framed school photos, entirely different atmosphere. My parents sat together on the sofa. Sophie sat in an armchair, a tissue clutched like a prop. She wouldn't even look at me. Thanks for coming, Dad remarked, his voice strained. I placed the folder and my phone squarely on the coffee table. Just so we're clear, I stated, my voice steady. Nothing about this is off the record in my head. If anyone lies, I won't keep it here. Sophie sneered. Wow, way to make this hostile. We're family. Then the truth shouldn't scare anyone. I shot back. My mother twisted her hands. Sophie, honey, tell Emily what you told us. No, I said. Sophie can speak for herself. Go ahead. Sophie rolled her eyes. I just repeated what you said, she snapped. That you were done carrying everything. That you were thinking of pulling your name off things. That you wanted full control of the LLC, so you didn't have to consult them. And this was in the car after dinner, right? I asked. She nodded. Yeah, you were upset. You probably don't even remember. I opened the folder, retrieved a printed statement, and slid it across the table. That night at Harbor Grill, right? Check the timestamps. Mom's gaze shifted down the page. Sophie's ride-sharing receipt showed her arriving home around 10:25. My gas station charge, across town, was 10:23. Different routes, different cars. I drove myself, I told them. You took a car alone. There was no car conversation. Maybe it was another night. Sophie said too quickly. Before you say that, I added, flicking to another paper. Here's the only other time we all had dinner in the last 4 months. That night you left early to meet friends. I stayed to pay. No private ride then either. Dad leaned back gently. Sophie, he said, his voice quiet. Memory is weird, she shrugged. Okay, I was trying to help. I thought she was serious about needing a break. Next, I showed them Susan's email, my withdrawal issued before Sophie's mental health update. Then Susan's response, saying she'd ignore anything that didn't come from me. Then Jason's message about the draft paperwork, my name, but no signature. Then screenshots of Sophie's social media posts and Megan's replies. One by one, the pages formed a path from that initial voicemail right to this couch. Mom finally turned to Sophie. You told us you saw emails, she said, her voice barely a whisper. You told us Emily said she was done with us. Sophie sat up straighter. So now you just believe her because she printed things? She said, turning to Mom. She's always liked control. She's twisting everything to make me look crazy. Dad fixed his gaze on Sophie. The truth doesn't fall apart when you hold it next to a receipt, he told her. Yours did. Mom stared at me, and for the first time since that voicemail, I saw something change in her eyes. We always thought you could handle more, she said, her voice raw. We saw Sophie as fragile, so we protected her and pushed responsibility onto you. And now I am sitting here realizing the only person who has lied to us is the one we told not to come back. Sophie opened her lips, but Mom raised a hand. Not this time, she said quietly. The word no dropped between them, and I felt something inside me gently click back into place. They tried to edit me out based on a screenplay Sophie wrote. Now they were watching that screenplay burn, page by page, realizing they were seconds away from losing the one person who had kept them afloat. The hush after my mother's no sat like a fifth person in the room. Sophie squirmed, her gaze flitting between my parents and me, desperate to see which way the wind was blowing. So what now? She finally mumbled. You've got your little packet of papers. Congratulations, Emily. Are you happy you made Mom cry? I didn't even acknowledge the jab. This isn't about anyone crying, I explained. It's about consequences. You told me I was out. You tried to push through changes behind my back. You told others I was unstable so you could take over the things I established. That can't just be a sad Facebook post with everyone pretending it never occurred. My father scratched his jaw, like he was lining up a tough repair in his mind. What do you think should happen? He asked, looking directly at me. Sophie snapped her head toward him. Seriously, Dad? You're asking her. I met his gaze. You wanted me out of the family business? Fine. I'll step back from being the default safety net. But that also means no one gets to quietly use my name, my credit, or my work. Starting with making sure Sophie has zero access to anything I've set up. My mother hesitated. Sophie doesn't have access, she began. I shook my head. Not formally, maybe. But she's been in meetings. She's been in group chats about the triplex. She's been talking to advisors like decisions were already moving in her favor. That stops today. Dad exhaled, glancing at Sophie. Honey, he said, his voice firm. We need to be clear here. No more speaking to advisors on our behalf. No more implying Emily is okay with things when she is not. Sophie blinked hard. So, you're just going to cut me out? Her voice was high and thin. After everything I have done for you? I couldn't help myself. What exactly is that? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. The Instagram story about being raised by wolves in the suburbs, or the half-baked business plans you wanted me to fund. Mom flinched, but she didn't chastise me this time. James, she said, her voice gentle but steady. Maybe we should make it official. No additional beneficiaries, no shared accounts, no promises we can't keep. We've been saying for years we'd help Sophie start something, pay off this card, co-sign that loan. All it has done is make her think she is entitled to money that isn't there until Emily builds it. I stared at her, astonished by her bluntness. Catherine turned to face me. We want you to rewrite the documents, she told me. The LLC, the retirement stuff, all of it. Based on what you think actually makes sense, not what we say in the middle of a fight. I looked at her cautiously. You're asking me to take control again, after you just told me to get out? She nodded, her eyes glistening. I'm asking you to do what you have been doing this whole time, she said. Only this time, with us admitting you know more than we do. Sophie gave a bitter chuckle. Unbelievable. You're handing her everything. You're punishing me because I told the truth about how she treats us. Dad fixed his gaze on her. The truth would have held up against a gas receipt, he told her. Yours didn't. That is the difference. Sophie became visibly shaken for the first time since she stepped in. Her gaze shifted to me, looking for an older version of me who would offer a lifeline. I did not. James drew a deep breath. Here's what we're going to do, he continued, adopting the strong tone he used to maintain at the business. Emily, you and Benjamin and Matthew figure out whatever it takes to make the LLC and the retirement accounts bulletproof. You and I remain the only managing members. Your mom is a beneficiary. Sophie is not in any position of control anywhere. If we help her, it will be from our own pockets, not by opening back doors into what you built. Sophie sat forward. You can't just erase me like that, she said. I'm your daughter, too. My mother winced. We are not erasing you, she explained. We're stopping pretending money we don't have is going to fall from the sky because we put your name on something Emily made. If we ever help you, it will be because you have a real plan and we can actually afford it, not because we feel guilty. Sophie changed tactics so quickly it made my head spin. Fine, she responded, tearing up. Then let me prove it, Emily. Give me a small role in the LLC. Let me do social media or something. Let me show you I can contribute instead of just taking. It was almost astonishing how she transitioned from fury to appealing to the perspective that made her appear most reasonable. A year ago, I might have fallen for it. Now, I'd seen another variant of the same pattern. I rose and grabbed my folder. No, I said with a calm smile. If you want to prove you can build something, you don't do it by wiring yourself into what someone else has already built. You do it by starting with nothing, like I did. My mother stared between us. Emily, isn't that a little harsh? She inquired quietly. I shook my head. Harsh was being told I was out and should not come back, I informed her. Harsh was having my stability used as a prop to get sympathy online. This is just boundaries, Mom. There's a difference. Sophie scowled at me and snarled. You are going to regret this. You think you can cut me off and walk away clean. I picked up my phone and placed it inside my backpack. No, I said. I think I can protect what I have earned and stop you from turning my work into your safety net. Whatever happens to you after that is not on me. On my way out, my father led me to the door. I am sorry, he murmured gently. For the voicemail, for not asking you first, for letting it get this far. I believed what was easiest to hear. I nodded, feeling a complex combination of relief and melancholy wash over me. I know, I replied. But believing the easy story does not mean the consequences are easy too. Over the next week, the adjustments were tangible. Jason sent over amended documents with just my name and James in the control positions. Benjamin planned a meeting where my parents signed agreements restricting who could access their accounts. And I amended the LLC operating agreement. No new managing member could join without the unanimous written permission of current members. There was no line where Sophie's name might be written. When the final signature dried, I felt something settle. Revenge isn't always a spectacular event. Sometimes, it's a meticulously built framework. A system where the person who tried to force me out simply had no access anymore. A few days later, Sophie showed up at my workplace unexpectedly, eyes wide and red, asking the receptionist for me. She was clutching a binder, like she was presenting a project. I met her in the lobby, arms crossed. "I have a business plan," she blurted, practically thrusting the binder at me. "Events, brand partnerships, influencer collaborations. If you just invest a little, I can pay you back and prove everyone wrong." I didn't take the binder. "Start it without me," I said. "If it works, you won't need my money. If it doesn't, you'll know why." Her face crumpled as fury and terror competed for space. "You are really not going to help me," she said quietly. "Not after everything?" I recalled Matthew's warning, Jason's caution, Megan's screenshots, my mother's handwritten note, my father's silent apologies, and that voicemail that started everything. "I'm done helping people set themselves on fire with my gasoline," I told her. Then, I turned and walked back through the locked door to my floor, leaving her, her binder, and everything else on the other side. 2 months later, I stood in the driveway of a pale brick triplex on the outskirts of Denver, carrying a box of kitchen supplies. My parents were arguing good-naturedly over where to place a bird feeder. The bottom unit was theirs now, formally documented with a clause that they could live there for the rest of their lives, untouchable. My flat was on the second level, big windows letting in so much light. The third unit, already available for rent. The figures were penciled into a spreadsheet I had complete control over. Sophie had tried to sneak into Mitchell Holdings LLC, but it was now leaner, cleaner. Just my father and I as managing members. My mother as the beneficiary. More precautions than any family turmoil could shake free. No side doors. No room for artistic adaptation. On weekend evenings, I'd cook with my mother in her new kitchen while my father watched a car show. We didn't rehash every detail, but we stopped pretending money was this mystical fog no one understood. I'd open the accounts on my laptop and guide them through what was actual, rather than what they wished was genuine. It wasn't flawless. When Sophie's name came up, their eyes still held sadness and remorse. But now, when she texted begging for assistance with another credit card, my mother would show me the message, then set her phone face down and say, "We can't fix this for her. Not this way." Cousins say Sophie ended up in a small apartment across town, hopping between gigs. Her grandiose event plans never took off. People started realizing that her stories always had a villain and a spotlight. For once, I wasn't in either position. I didn't sue her. I didn't try to damage her online. I did something quieter, and to me much more precise. I took away her perceived power and allowed her to have a life independent of my work. I wasn't furious anymore. I was clear. It's clear that trust without limits is an invitation for the wrong person to walk in and disrupt everything. It's clear that being the strong one in a family doesn't mean you should allow others to use your power against you. If there's one takeaway from all of this, it's that you may love your family, but you absolutely have the right to refuse to be their insurance policy when they gamble with the truth. You can forgive without returning the keys. And if someone tells you, "You're out," don't come back. You are permitted to believe them. Step back and ask yourself a more difficult question. What should I cease allowing them access to from this point forward? Perhaps you have your own version of this story. A time when someone treated your loyalty like a credit card with no limits. If you do, I hope you realize sooner than I did that saying no is not retaliation. It is self-respect. Sometimes, something is more important to safeguard than the house itself. Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family or friends? Tell me your story in the comments below. I really want to hear what you think.